Hello and welcome to the Paul Garcia Show, where I have conversations with the remarkable people from the central Illinois area. Today I'm switching it up a little bit because last Sunday I published my 25th episode and I feel like that's an important number. So I decided this week that I'd make a little highlight reel of some of my personal favorite moments thus far. I would also like to say thank you to you for tuning into this show regularly. It's still new and it's still young and I'm learning a lot every single day, but I feel like it's a great use of my skills and I definitely love doing it. So keep watching it so I can keep doing it. I'd like to say thank you also to those of you who have donated to the show using Venmo or PayPal because that helps a ton. And thank you also to my patrons on patreon.com/Paul Garcia. Their names are Anthony, Ben, Ann, and Donnie. You are all amazing. On Patreon, if you didn't know, you can gain exclusive access to bonus footage from each episode, early access to each episode, and starting here soon, you'll be able to access live versions of each episode. That's going to be wild. I'd also like to say thank you to this show's amazing sponsors because without them, this whole ship would sink. From the beginning, we've had J. Marie Salon and Day Spa, Fairbury Furniture, The Coffee Steamer, Nature's Designs, Iroquois Farmers State Bank, PSF, Legacy Jiu-Jitsu, Brands Martial Arts, Greg Kurtenbach State Farm Offices, Forest Edge Tree Service, and Popejoy Plumbing, Heating, Electric, and Geothermal. They have all contributed to this show and it means everything to me. So thanks for these businesses and thanks for your donations. I've gone from having terrible mics and no cameras to using professional mics and some solid cameras, and I can't wait to continue to improve the content that this show provides, all for your viewing pleasure. I'm talking fast. All of those businesses are great, and I hope whenever you're in need of a service that they offer, you consider using them. Before I get on with the show though, I'd like to go ahead and say thanks to my current sponsors. So please, lend me your ear for just a moment as I tell you about some of the premier businesses in this great area. Look down right now. What are you sitting on? Is it from Fairbury Furniture? If it's not, you should have a serious talk with yourself because if you're not getting your furniture from Fairbury Furniture, then you are missing out on great prices, quality furniture, exceptional service, and high-end style. It's time to ditch your decades-old furniture and pick up something awesome from Fairbury Furniture. This show is sponsored in part by Popejoy Plumbing, Heating, Electric, and Geothermal. As you can tell by that long name, Popejoy offers a full array of services that will ensure that all your home's machines and systems and what have you will continue to operate at peak performance for many, many years to come. The Popejoy name has been serving the central Illinois area since 1984. At Popejoy, their elite level team works hard to ensure that your homes and businesses remain comfortable, healthy, and energy efficient all year round. What's also great is that no matter what service you're requesting, you can always be sure that every Popejoy service technician is properly trained and certified, as they all participate in ongoing factory-sponsored training classes all the time, so they understand all the latest installation and repair techniques. So for top quality plumbing, heating, electric, and geothermal services, call Popejoy at 815-496-5181. Their lines are open 24/7 because they know that emergencies don't just happen during regular business hours. When the stuff in your home ain't doing what it should, just call Popejoy. This show is sponsored in part by Greg Kurtenbach's State Farm offices in Fairbury and Gibson City, Illinois. Do me a favor, go Google Greg Kurtenbach's State Farm office in Fairbury and just look at his ratings. 56 reviews, all 5 stars. Incredible! You don't earn that kind of reputation for just being okay. Greg and his team in Gibson and Fairbury are incredibly friendly, intelligent, and so helpful. If a dum-dum like me can go sit down with Greg for just 15 minutes and learn and understand the ins and outs of health, life, and car insurance, then so can you! They say that the task of genius is to make the complex simple and easy to understand. Greg and his team do just that. If you call up his office right now at 815-692-3673, assuming you're calling during business hours, and ask them how much they can insure, say, your car for, they can give you a free quote right then and there, and you'll be like, wow, that was extremely easy, and that's a lot less than I'm paying right now. It literally could not hurt to call. Oh, and if you didn't know, Greg is a celebrity. In addition to having his face and mustache being on a massive billboard on the west end of Fairbury, you've probably seen his State Farm commercial that he starred in a few years back. Way better than the Jake from State Farm commercials, in my opinion, that we see now. Anyway, there are a lot of reasons why so many people from the area are calling up Greg's offices and getting free quotes and proudly making Greg their new agent. So for quality insurance, great prices, and impeccable customer service, call Greg Kurtenbach's State Farm office in Fairbury at 815-692-3673 or call his office in Gibson City at 217-784-8343. Sure to tell him that the Paul Garcia Show sent you. I'd love to hear it. This show is sponsored in part by Forest Edge Tree Service. Although winter has now passed, the damage that it's done on all of our trees is here to stay. If those trees haven't fallen yet, get ready because just a few strong winds will lead to downed limbs, trees, and power lines, causing massive damage to your homes, cars, and properties. Face it, your yard is no place for looming, dead, or damaged trees. It's just a matter of time before one of them comes down, and whether by your choice or not. This is why you need to hire the excellent services of Forest Edge Tree Service. No job is too complicated for these folks. If you have trees or tree stumps that you want gone, simply give Joe Rudin at Forest Edge Tree Service a call or text at 815-615-3037 to get a free quote today. Forest Edge Tree Service is fully insured and staffed with trained professionals who use cutting-edge equipment to get the job done right. Make your property safe and beautiful with a tree service that you can trust. These pros take pride in their attention to detail and in their cleanup and in their relationships with their customers, which is why they are Livingston County's premier tree service provider. Keep your family, vehicles, pets, and neighbors safe by being proactive with your land. It'll save you money in the long run and help you avoid all the headaches of unplanned downed trees. Trust me, there's a lot of them. Be a responsible adult and call or text Joe Rudin with Forest Edge Tree Service at 815-615-3037 to schedule your free quote today. And let them know, of course, that the Paul Garcia Show sent you. This show is sponsored in part by PSF, Legacy Jiu-Jitsu in Normal, Illinois. Jiu-Jitsu is the fastest growing martial art on the planet. It's such an amazing workout and it builds confidence like you would not believe. When you go to PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu in Normal, you will quickly learn how to take someone down, how to submit your opponents, and how to defend yourself on and off the mats. At PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu, you'll gain a sense of confidence that only comes from knowing that you can honestly defend yourself in the event of an attack or if you ever have to defend someone else. PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu's instructor is Jared Game, and he still competes on the National Jiu-Jitsu circuit. He's smart, patient, friendly, and tough as nails. The team is constantly growing here and they're so warm and welcoming. So learn jiu-jitsu, get in shape, and gain confidence, and even make some friends, all at an unbeatable monthly price. Call or text PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu at 217-637-4699 or message them on Facebook at PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu. And of course, be sure to tell them that the Paul Garcia Show sent you. How did you earn the respect of these kids?
First of all, describing leadership, Dwight Eisenhower said it best. Leadership is having people that are under you do what you want them to do because they want to do it. And they'll do that if they know that you care about them. Every one of the kids that I've had wrestle for me genuinely understood that I cared about what they did. I cared about what happened to them. I picked up kids from a bus station and ran off from home. I've had kids, cry in a corner, set them off and stew, patted them on the back, jumped on them to get going. But they always knew that I was doing it because I cared. And I wanted what was best for them. And in the big picture, wrestling's going to be out of it. Down the road, wrestling's going to be out of it. But what they're going to take away from what I taught them is the skills that are going to make them better in life. The three selves. The self-discipline, self-confidence, and self-reliance. Those are the three selves that you get out of it. Okay? You discipline yourself to do what has to be done. You're reliant because you know you're on your own. And you build the confidence, now I know I can do anything.
Yeah.
I can tackle the world. If I'm a wrestler and I've done this, I can tackle the world.
That's beautiful.
First two matches that a kid goes through, how he's going to handle the sport of wrestling. Does he walk off the mat after he gets destroyed? Does he walk off the mat and throw a fit and cry? Or does he walk off the mat and come up and say, hey coach, what do I need to do to get better? And then the next practice he's in wrestling with a state champion, or because we have those in our room.
That room is insane.
We're very, very fortunate, and that's the one thing that I know I'm getting kind of on a tangent here, but that's the one thing that I tell those kids is you guys have a tremendous opportunity here. You need to take it as much as you can, and that's what I love about coaching is I have more respect for, I don't even know what you call the generation below, because I think I'm a millennial. I don't even know what you call that generation, but
I don't know if it's Z
they have more passion. I mean, they are the most thoughtful, caring generation that I've come into contact with, in my 30 years. I think they're a little misguided. So they have a lot of passion, but they don't know where to put it. So I enjoy coaching from that perspective, that you get the opportunity to mold these kids at a young age, not, big time, but the 2 or 3 or 4 hours that you spend with them every day, you get a chance to mold those kids and hopefully, see the fruits of that come back later, which I'm seeing right now, with you.
Thanks. And another thing that wrestling teaches you, I think, that really other sports might kind of lack is accountability. It's a singular sport, and like you said, you either take all the victory, get your hand raised, or you take all the loss. Who else are you going to blame?
Yeah.
I mean, it was you versus another human being out there, and it teaches you, I mean, you're basically wrestling in front of a crowd, man on man, woman on woman, basically in your underwear. I mean, you're in a singlet. Some schools don't wear singlets even anymore, but you're in a singlet, and I mean, it teaches you humility in that regard.
And my friend was actually doing my eyebrows. It was always at weird times. And
that's a good luck charm.
I guess. And I answered the phone, and that's when they told me we have a match. Like, officially we have a match. And they couldn't tell me who it was because of, like, HIPAA laws and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going, okay, cool. Like, wonder who it is more of what's going on. And I mean, I broke down in tears, and I hate crying. I don't know why, but I hate crying. And I broke down in tears. And my friend, who has never seen me cry or anything, just kind of goes, oh no, what do I do?
Well, this is humongous news, because this thing that is the root of the vast majority of all your suffering from a health perspective, this thing, that faulty kidney that you have, is about to be replaced potentially by a brand new or just a healthy kidney.
Yep.
It's life-changing.
Yep.
To get that on one phone call, like, that had to be pretty heavy.
Yeah, it was, because, like, if you just, like, think about it, even though I still had a lot of freedom, even being on dialysis, I was still living on a machine at the same time.
Gosh,
so it's like that thing was, I don't want to say keeping me alive, because I mean, I was still able to, like, do a lot of things, but without it, where would I have been type thing. And so, like, getting the news of, like, almost like you're going to be fixed is amazing. And so obviously I called my parents and I told them, but then again, still superstitious, and I said, we're not saying a thing until it's, like, set in place, because that's just who I am. And then I think it was later that week, it was like one of the first races of the season.
The Illini 100?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
And so I went there. I think it was just me, and I met my family there, and my dad and my brother are cleaning the car or whatever, and I'm over there talking to people, and my dad leans over and goes, Michelle got a kidney, and, like, just whispers it to him.
You said, say that again?
My
dad?
Yeah, my dad told my brother that. Well, one of my brothers, my brother Jeff. Mm-hmm. And so then my dad comes up to me and goes, hey, Jeff wants to talk to us in the trailer. And I'm going, well, what did I do? Like, I was like,
you thought you were in trouble or something?
I'm like, well, I didn't do anything. And so we go in there, and he starts talking. He goes, so, like, I heard you got a kidney. And I just turn around and, like, hit my dad in the arm.
Dad, what the heck?
And I was like, we're not telling people. And he goes, I didn't. Like, he goes, I didn't say anything. And then Jeff goes, no, I know, because it's me. And we both had, like, this, we were like, wait, what? And so then I cried again, because I was like, are you kidding me?
Man.
So that's how I found out who it was. But yeah.
You were awarded the Bronze Star, which is a very honorable award. And the Bronze Star is given to those who distinguish themselves as heroic, meritorious, and other things like that. And you got one. Am I correct in saying it was for loading up the wounded on the helicopter?
But it was the Bronze Star with a V.
The Bronze Star with a V. What does that?
You can see the V in the thing. That means for valor. A lot of people get a Bronze Star. Then there's a Bronze Star with a V, and then after that, then there's a Silver Star.
What does the V mean? The valor. What does that signify?
It just means for valor for doing your job. Like that letter says, above and beyond the call of duty type of thing. You know.
You sound very humble about it.
It's humbling to be there. I've been around a lot of guys with different medals, and same thing as when I got home. I didn't talk about it. I talk about it more now than I ever did. As a matter of fact, there was times after I got home, I went to work, you know, and I like to take off on Veterans Day of all days. Mm. You know, that's... You'll have to wait.
Take your time. You're all right.
Let's take a break.
Yo, sure thing.
Yeah.
Sure thing. Do you have a pretty profound love for children, especially after that experience in Guatemala?
I would say so, yeah. It made me want to adopt them all.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting because the average number of children per family continues to go down in the United States. I'm making an assumption here. Are you pro-life?
Very much.
I'm not surprised, and I mean, of course, I am as well. Yeah. And who couldn't be after going and seeing what you did in Guatemala, the joy on these kids' faces in a third world country? That's really interesting to me, the joy on these kids' faces despite living in a place that's not quite, you know, up to the United States living standards.
We even got the opportunity to go to a Down syndrome school, and it was one of the most shocking things. All they want to do is dance and celebrate and just party with us. They just wanted to hang out, and it was
That's really incredible. I mean, children with Down syndrome seem to be very joyful for whatever reason. This is kind of heavy. Last year, 100% of children with Down syndrome in the country of Iceland, I don't know if you already know this, were aborted. There were no children born last year or the year before in Iceland that had Down syndrome. I think in Europe the average is around 70. In the United States, it's 67% of children who have been found to have Down syndrome in the womb are aborted. That shouldn't sit well with people, I don't think.
I don't think either. Actually, from personal experience, my parents were, again, young when they were pregnant with me, and the doctor even mentioned, would you want an abortion? She might possibly have Down syndrome. They had, seen some signs, weren't 100%, and also, you're young, you know? And so that was a conversation between my parents, right? They sat down and said, do we want to run tests to see if she has Down syndrome? And it was why would that change anything? And that's totally from the Lord.
Human life is sacred.
Absolutely.
Regardless of anything, of the method of conception, the nature of the conception, because they're young, you know, of whether or not they have a disability of some sort. You know, that human life is still sacred. And I also want to say, because your parents had the conversation, means nothing against your mom or any woman who or father who is considering that. You know, they're probably scared, they're worried.
Yeah.
It's totally normal to consider that.
After I got done with high school and I got to age 18, because I remember I was thinking about the wars, World War II and stuff. I was like, okay, this is an age where kids, have been sent overseas and got killed. And it really, I was thinking about everyone else in the world, the kids born in Africa, that's in the desert plains that starve to death. Some kids don't even have a chance to make it. Some kids aren't even born with limbs. I started thinking that, man, I'm actually kind of lucky in a sense. But then I was like, man, but I was still treated so kind of poorly sometimes that I was like I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm lucky. These kids that have a good life, they're the lucky ones. These kids on bottom that have nothing are the unlucky ones. I'm kind of in the middle. So I just realized that if I want anything in this life, I can't care about others' opinions. I just got to do it.
Where were some of the places that your mind could go during these periods of isolation before you ever turned to MMA and everything? Where would your mind go in high school? To paint a realistic picture to people that haven't been in your shoes, what bullying can do to someone, where'd your mind go?
I'd say, well, like I said, I would come home and I'd play video games, and that was an escape. I would just draw or something. I'd do stuff like that, and that was an escape. But probably after high school, like I said, around the time, I probably turned like 18 or so, was when I really started thinking deeply about this stuff. And it's you look deep down in yourself and you break all truths. So you kind of break yourself down in a sense. The important part is when you build yourself back up. That's when you really, really need to focus and try and expand and try to really dive into what life's all about, and not try to avoid what's making you sad or what's negative. You need to take it on at some point.
Like face it head on?
Yeah, so to speak. If I did get bullied, I would, kind of stand up more for myself. And if I saw someone else getting bullied, I'd stand up for them. I'd try to. And then I tried to make it a habit to say, like, to go out of my way to say, like, nice things to people. So I was trying to actually take action in my own life and take control of it. Because I was tired of feeling that bad, negative stuff. I wanted to feel good stuff. So I said, all right, if I want to feel good, then this is what I got to do. So I broke myself to build myself back up, essentially.
That's pretty inspiring that you broke yourself down and built yourself back up. That's a pretty awesome trait to have in yourself. Yeah. I think that's just part of who you are and what makes you unique.
I think that there are important things about your health that you just have to take care of yourself. Your body needs fresh air. Your body needs exercise. Your body needs fresh water. Your body needs, fresh organic food, and your body needs sleep. And if you can hit those 5 categories and then stay away from anything that would adversely affect those, then hopefully if anybody would focus on those things, they would have the same results that I would have. I just can't profess my health change enough. I just cannot believe it. My arthritis I had a broken hip. My arthritis went away. I can run upstairs. Wow. I can run upstairs now. I can do high knees and sprint upstairs. I haven't pulled a muscle in the last year. My heart numbers, like my triglycerides went from 800 to 80. I was pre-diabetic, and now I'm in the 6 range. I don't know if 4, 5, 6 is a very normal range for diabetics. Actually, they're non-diabetic if you're in that situation. My cholesterol levels are at a 10th of a level of what they used to be. And I've had doctors tell me that's impossible. You can't change your cholesterol numbers.
So it's safe to say that this plant-based diet that you've switched to has been probably one of your best decisions you've ever made. Is that
yeah, I'd probably say it saved my life. And I'd say my wife saved her life by finding Dr. Mikovits. But that's the testimony. I guess that's the thing that I just want to. You feel like you just want to tell the world, but at the same time, it's just like everybody's at their own. I don't want to force it on anybody. Everybody's at their own pace. Everybody wants to. It's an anecdote that I'm explaining what worked for me, and hopefully it'll work for somebody else. Hopefully it'll help somebody else, because what my wife taught me worked for me and her, and even our kids have said that, yeah, this, I feel better when I eat this way as opposed to when I eat this way.
So I want to back up just a little bit. Why did you want to do this Ironman? You said you could barely swim a quarter mile. You could, at the beginning, only bike 4 miles. An Ironman calls for a heck of a lot more than that. Why did you decide you wanted to do this in the first place?
It's an interesting question, and I can answer that. It's actually kind of a long answer. The Bible says only a few make it to heaven. All right? I want to be in that few. The marathon, only a few people finish marathons. I want to be in that few. Of the few people that may do a marathon, only a few of them can do it in 3 hours. I wanted to be a part of that few. Very few do Ironman. And I want to be in that number. That's all there is to it. There's always a number that I want to be a part of. A millionaire. Someday I want to be a millionaire. Only a few people are millionaires. Only 20 million Americans that are millionaires. That's on the few number, and that's a number I'd like to be a part of. So I like being a member of the few. So you asked why I did it? Because I want to be a member of the few.
Were you ever tempted to quit?
Oh, I never quit. No, I never quit. No. I think there's a difference between breaking down and quitting. When you quit is when you have some left. And you're going and you say, you know what? I just don't want to do this anymore. That's quitting. That's fine. But then don't tell yourself you're going to come back and try it again. You don't quit. There is no quit. You can fall apart and you do end up walking home. And there are days like that. I remember one day I was running and I was here in town and I went into Dave's and I was actually I knew I was at Dave's. It wasn't like I was completely out of it, but I was physically out. Mark Steffen comes running up and says, hey, you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm really fine. But I wasn't. And he sits me down and gets me some water. Yeah, and I just sat there probably a half hour just dazed out of my mind. It was really weird.
You said that you were blessed with success at the beginning, and you had some success. You made it to state relatively quickly. Why do you think you had that success? Like, what made you special? What made you excel quicker than others?
I feel like the genetics and just how much I worked when I was little. Like, I wanted to be the best at wrestling, and I would always train and just always work my butt off like 24/7, and I feel like that's paid off a lot.
Man, that really seems to be the truth too, because I see you posting pictures on social media of you just being in here. It seems like this is almost your second home.
It is.
You do love to train, it seems like, or at least if you don't love it, you at least spend a lot of your time doing it. Why? Why is that? Most kids don't want to train. It's hard. It sucks. What was your inspiration? What was your reason to work so hard at such a young age?
My dad, obviously, like what we talked about, he was really good at hockey. And when I was growing up, he used to have his like state championship banners in his closet, and I would always see them. And when I would see those banners, I kind of like wanted to like go work almost. And he would always like mess with me like, oh, you don't have one of these, like just constructive criticism almost. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to have more than you watch, since I'm going to be better than what you were. And so just pushing me and helping me. Then when I started wrestling, it's just been fun for me. Like, I just enjoyed, and the little motivation helped.
It started to rain. There was a bunch of toys and stuff in the yard. So I was just like, okay, I'll run out in the rain, get a bunch of stuff out of the yard, clean it up, put it in the garage. So I got all the toys put away in the garage, and I was on my back porch, and it's about 40 feet from my garage to my back porch. I got up the back porch, I grabbed the gate with both hands and pulled it shut as I was on top of the porch. So the gate it's an elevated porch. Grabbed the gate, pulled it shut, and lightning hit right in front of me. And I got thrown from the sonic concussion. I got thrown back about 15 feet, and I was blinded, I was deaf, and I was laying face up on the porch in the rain. If my out-of-body experience was as long as real time, I think I was unconscious for about 2 minutes. So,
wait a minute. Okay, that's insane. Did you just said out-of-body experience? I don't know if that was just like a kind of a figure of speech, or do you remember something from that?
I guess an in-body experience, I guess, would be more accurate, because I was laying there. All I saw was light. I saw this white tunnel.
This light tunnel?
Light tunnel. Just a long light tunnel. Long lit tunnel. No sound, no feel, no touch, other than just this light at the end of this tunnel.
Okay, so it's like classic dark?
Yeah, the classic one you hear about all the time, you know. And looking back at it, I was like, okay, I was flat on my back, and there was rain hitting my face. Mm-hmm. So it was like I was traveling down the tunnel. I was like, well, maybe the rain was contributing to me having that sense of moving forward, you know, down this tunnel or whatever. But during that 2 minutes, I was like, I can't move. What's going on? All I see is this tunnel. All I see was I was aware.
Oh, so you were kind of still sensing, like sense-wise, you were feeling?
Only in my head. Because I couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't feel any physical semblance of myself. I couldn't feel my hands. I couldn't, you know, all I could feel was that it just felt like I was moving. I had no body. I was just moving down this tunnel. And yeah, I know, it's kind of creepy thinking back at it. And then I remember thinking while I was in this, I was laid out, my face in the sky. While I was in this position, I was thinking to myself, am I dead? And I kept thinking, I am dead. And I kept thinking, wait a minute, I still have to do this. I still have to do this. Wait a minute, what's going to happen to my family? What's going to happen to my wife, my kids? And I was like sorting through all of this, staring at this lighted tunnel. And then after if the white time and the tunnel time and real time is accurate, it was about 2 minutes. I wake up after about 2 minutes, the light just kind of faded away. And
you saw gray sky?
No, I saw black. I saw darkness because I had lost my eyesight.
Oh, that's right.
So it was dark, but I knew the rain was hitting my face, and then I was like, oh great, maybe I am dead, because I'm aware, I just still don't feel anything. So I was like, there's no pain, there's nothing. And then after about another minute and a half, I was in the worst pain of my entire life. From my elbows to my fingertips on both sides, and from my knees to my toes on both sides, I felt like I was in lava. It was just the most intense pain you can imagine. And then I thought, oh great, I am dead. Now I'm in hell.
Oh my word! Did that actually go through?
That thought actually went through my head.
How horrifying that must have been.
I know. And I was just, and I was sitting there, and another 30 seconds goes by, and I start to realize, hey, I'm stuck out here in the rain. The lightning's still striking, and my hands and feet hurt so bad that I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't really move them. So I kind of jerked and flipped over onto my belly, and I crawled on my elbows and knees.
At this point, you must know that you were still in your physical body.
Yes, at that point, I'd figured out that, hey, I'm actually still here.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of happy, and I was split.
I
was like, hey, I had a chance to leave, and I didn't take it. And I'm here. I have a chance to make more of my life and stuff. So,
but you're still in agony.
Yeah. I was still in agony. So I'm blind, and I'm deaf. Okay, so can't see, can't hear, but I can feel what's going on, and I'm crawling on my knees and my elbows. I get to the back door, and I start beating my elbow on the back door. And my wife, who's wondering where I've been the last 5 minutes or whatever, comes to the door, and she helps drag me into the kitchen. I'm on my back, and she's trying to figure out what's happened. And she got me on my back in the kitchen, and I'm shaking like I'm shaking like
you're seizing, basically, right?
Yeah, I'm shaking like a poisoned cockroach, on my back, and my arms and legs are in the air.
Whoa.
And my foot is burned. The electrical exit point blew my shoe off. And so she called 911, she called paramedics, they came, but it took about 8 to 10 weeks of therapy and rehab. And my wife doing everything for me, because my hands, I had to relearn how to use my hands again. I had to relearn how to...
You're probably so fragile, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, even for the first 3 or 4 weeks, they would just put a rubber band around my thumb and forefinger, and I would just do these exercises just to learn how to use my fingers again. For weeks I was doing these rubber band drills and these rubber band drills. And
I could almost call this then Chapter 3, the final chapter. Your health. It really never fully came back after the lightning strike.
Right.
However, you were still able to function, live a relatively normal life and go to work and still teach PE, but...
I just wasn't the same. I wasn't feeling well. I was never felt healthy. I quit playing basketball. I quit running. I quit playing racquetball. I quit doing the things that I used to do and loved before the lightning strike.
What was your least favorite part about teaching?
Oh, I don't know. I tried to keep it fun. I mean, the students got to have fun. The teachers got to have fun, so you avoid that burnout. Probably the biggest thing I didn't like about teaching. I loved the teaching, but it was the thing I always complained about. My colleagues would vouch for was the institute days, the conference days, the things where you're not physically teaching. And in my book, if you could do away with those other things somehow, I would probably still, love teaching. Mm-hmm. But that kind of stuff just gets old after a while.
Yeah, you hear about that in the corporate world all the time, that the meetings are the worst part. It's just like a waste of time, it seems. It's like those efforts could be better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, and the discipline changed so much in my 33 years of teaching. I won't mention any names, but when I was down at Octavia, when I started, I stuck my head into a basketball practice, and the sophomore team was running plays in front of me, and this one kid just kept screwing up time after time after time. And after about the third or fourth time, the coach called him over, grabbed him by the shirt collar, slapped him upside the head, threw him back in there, and off they went.
Really?
And, and then you go to the other extreme at the end of my teaching career. We couldn't even use students' names on the internet or on email and stuff because we didn't want to, violate their privacy. And the political correctness, I think, it just changed the scenery of teaching so much.
I am not surprised by that opinion at all. To me, it's frustrating seeing how the political correctness has kind of put a lot of boundaries on what you can and cannot do in teaching. I don't think that's beneficial for the education of kids, the kids' experience, and the teacher's experience, and their ability to better teach and everything. So what parts of the political correctness do you think kind of hindered your teaching? Like what was just unnecessary in your opinion?
I always felt bad for the average, the upper level students, because it just seemed to me that we geared so much towards that lower level student, which obviously need extra help and things like that, and I'm all for that. But it seemed like we kind of let the middle and upper level kids suffer to try to bring the lower level kids up. And I know that sounds maybe bad, but they all need their own paths to succeed, and
absolutely.
I sometimes think maybe we slighted the top half of the kids to bring the bottom half up some.
Yeah, I mean, for Pete's sakes, every student is an individual with unique capabilities, and those who are more able in school should be challenged, I think. Why? It's a shame. It's almost wrong to not challenge them and push them to be all that they can be for the sake of just keeping, maintaining the average, as you say.
Right. I think that's exactly right. And then the other thing I think that goes hand in hand with that is the discipline. I mentioned it just changed so much. One of the few times I did go back and sub that first year I retired, I actually walked a kid down to the office because he kind of just went off in the classroom. I was yelling out the F word, this and that, and took him up to the office, and I got chewed out the whole way up to the office by this 12, 13-year-old kid.
Oh my.
And took him in, principal took him, and our assistant principal, and he said, thanks for bringing him up. He said, he'll probably be back down in about 10 minutes. And I kind of looked at him. I said, what? He said, yeah. He says, way things are set up, he'll cool down and then he'll be back in the classroom. And I just told the assistant principal, I said, not in my classroom. If that's the way it is, then I can't teach. And I never subbed after that.
Wow. Oh my. Yeah, I bet that was wildly frustrating for you.
It was. And once again, it goes back to that. I felt so bad for those other, 20 some kids in the class that have to sit and listen to that kind of language being thrown around. And then, they see there's no real consequence because you throw the kid out and here he comes back in the classroom 10 minutes later. And I was just too old fashioned to tolerate that kind of discipline, I guess. So it's probably a good thing I retired.
Eventually I saw the pain specialist. He said I probably would never do anything active again, would probably need surgery or some sort of implant into my back in order to, walk normally. That was hard to hear. My dad was in the office with me and he just cried, and that was something that I never saw. And at that point he was like, all right, well, let's think about how your life is going to look moving forward. And I said, we might as well go to this physical therapy appointment. We have it scheduled, let's just go. Let me tell you, that was a godsend, because for the first time I saw a medical professional who saw me, who saw me and not my problem, who saw me and wanted to know what I was struggling with, what I'd been through, what I was feeling, and was like, you know what? You know, your spine doesn't look that bad. I know what you're feeling is real, and we are gonna figure it out and we're gonna work on it. And I wholeheartedly believe you're gonna walk normally again, you are gonna swim normally again, and it's gonna be long and it's gonna be difficult, but you need to have hope, because this isn't it for you, Hannah. That was everything. To have someone who saw me and, you know, I didn't have to be anything. I didn't have to be amazing at that point. I didn't have to excel. I just needed to get better, and they were on that journey with me. But yoga was everything.
Yoga was something, I think, for me, even that I learned that it was really a good de-stressor, and that it really did help me relax a little bit. We don't get to do it enough, I will say that.
Meditation was another thing that was really big for me. My psych told me to kind of do this MBSR program, and that's what really spiked my interest in that. But it helped me to sit with what I was feeling. And I had for so long ran from what I was feeling. I'd ran from the pain of what was going on with my family. I'd ran from the shame of what it felt like to swim slow. I'd ran from the pain I felt from my body having no fuel, and just turned all that off. And meditation helped me to feel.
Like the transformation since she left for college, since when she's come back and like blossomed into this person. She was always old, but now she's like, I don't even know, like she's a person.
I was very self-centered when I was swimming. You have to be in order to continue to train and, you know, get your correct nutrition and sleep and roll out and take care of your muscles, etc. You kind of have to be selfish. And I was just so singularly focused on what success I could have in the water. And now I'm living my nightmare, but it turns out to be exactly what I wanted, because I have purpose now, and it's not swimming fast in the water. It's helping others. It's connecting with people. It's being joyful and soaking the most out of life that I can. And I try, you know, so hard to do that every single day. And it's being vulnerable with the people that I love, you know, with my mom and dad and sisters and with my boyfriend. And that wasn't something I ever made time for beforehand. I just wasn't around. I swam, I slept, I read. And, you know, even my grandma kind of says, like, you're so different now.
I think it's cliche, but life's short, man. Life's short, and don't take the ups for granted. There's always going to be valleys, but don't take the ups for granted.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
You know, you already mentioned kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of guy or whatever. I mean, 4 years ago, I had a broken cheekbone, and I've lived with chronic pain in my face ever since. You know, something unfathomable. You know, just never would have thought that this would be my life at 29. You know, to be dealing with this, so, you know, kind of chronic health condition of sorts. And you know, when you're dealing with some of these situations, we've already talked about human connectedness. That's important. And I'll be the first to say that with the chronic health condition and some of the kind of the mental struggles that, you know, that just come on the tailwinds of it all, I really retreated into myself. Really thought, you know, this is my problem. I need to deal with it by myself. Those sorts of scenarios, I mean, you can get into pretty toxic lifestyle. You can get into pretty toxic thoughts, self-demeaning thoughts, honestly, Paul, probably for about the last 4 years, I've had really kind of negative self-perception. You know, and that's, you asked earlier, like, where are you going from here? And you see, you know, they got the job and doing well and all that. But that's the piece that I have to work on and continually work on. You know, I mentioned staying vigilant earlier about the things that are important to you. Your mental health is important. And, you know, you can get in those toxic thoughts and when you're trying to do it with yourself and you're not letting other people in to assist, people that want to assist, and you don't let them in, and you're going to
you hurt yourself, and you hurt those people that are trying to, they just want to help. Can't do this world alone, Paul. I mean, that's the theme of this conversation, man. Human beings, I believe, are by nature good. We all have a little bit of trauma. We all have a little bit of backstory. We all got something in the cupboards and skeletons in the closet, stuff we sweep under the bed. But people want to help, and sometimes you got to be a little vulnerable and let them help. I think it's Mumford & Sons has a line in one of their songs. It's just how freeing love can be, and when you find a way to love yourself and you find a way to let that love in, you're gonna be free.
And what does it take to let that love in?
I mean, I think, I've been going down a Christian journey over these last couple months. Really.
And you grew up very Christian, is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I mean, I grew up, all the listeners around here know that, I grew up Apostolic Christian, in the Fairbury Apostolic Christian Church there, and floated away, and it was always sitting in the back of my mind, and just never really focused on it, never really kind of, went to the scripture to have those sorts of conversations and really think about, I guess that's it. I mean, you asked earlier what's next in my life, and that's it. I mean, really grounding myself and building a foundation on faith, and on Jesus, to just stop this spiral of negative, toxic thoughts. I mean, the toxicity that is created when you try to go this life alone. Some problems are your problems, but people want to help. Let them help. You can't live your life with walls around your heart. I'll be first to admit that I've done that for a long time.
Put up walls?
Put up walls, yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the humor, man. That's the humor. That's the jokes, the masks. It's the theater. All those things. You put up those walls, and because you're scared to let people. You're scared to, it's a toxic thought to think, oh man, if other people really knew who I was, or if other people had if they knew, they'd get out of there. He's not, this is the things that are going on in his brain, and these are the thoughts that he has, and obviously you do it in a healthy manner. You don't go sharing everything on a podcast. You find the right avenues for all that stuff. But
well, I do want to say, you said, you find the right avenues to talk about these things in a way that so they're going to help people. And you said, not on a podcast. I completely disagree. I think that the people that are going to listen to this and hear you, Chase, because you're Chase, talk about, maybe some of the struggles you've dealt with the mental health that stems from the chronic pain, I think that's actually going to be a thing of relief for a lot of people. And it has been in the past. I had an episode with Joey Reese where he talked about his experience with bullying, and I had a good number of people message me that helped them a lot. And because they saw Joey went through that, they're reassured that they're human, that they're normal. And your vulnerability is going to benefit people without a doubt. What is the most rewarding or just simply the best part about being an officer, or maybe specifically being the chief of police here in Pontiac?
So, yeah, two things I'll address on that is it is difficult to be a police officer, but it's not impossible. So, even though we have a reform bill and times have made law enforcement agencies do more with less, for example, when I started, there were 23 police officers here. We have 19 now as our full strength. We get the job done. We do it, and we do it professionally, and that's always going to be what law enforcement does. We'll always overcome whatever obstacles are in our way, and we'll do it the right way, and we'll work with the legislatures to get the right things in place for that to happen. And so we'll get through the reform bill. This isn't the end of law enforcement as we know it, and for those that are looking to get into the field, it is still a very rewarding field. I wouldn't change my career a bit because, asking me what the most rewarding parts of the job were, on patrol, the freedom of the work is rewarding, but also those opportunities when you have a victim of violent crime who gets to see justice because you were able to arrest an offender is a great thing. Being able to make partnerships with some of our social service groups in the community, our Safe Passage program, where we actually become an instrumental part in helping somebody get off heroin. What a rewarding thing. I'll tell you, in my career as a patrolman, I would have said I had never seen anyone get clean from heroin. Now that's not true. I think what the reality is, those that got clean quit being police problems.
Yeah.
But we've seen throughout our career people get addicted to heroin and drugs and eventually die from them repeatedly. And being part of this Safe Passage program, where somebody can voluntarily just come here and say, look, I have a heroin problem, help me. And using our influence to get them into detox is a great thing, and to partner them up with, here in Livingston County, the Institute for Human Resources and their substance abuse program. It's an amazing thing, and it changes the perspective of a law enforcement officer from seeing people as incidents to seeing people as their name, as the people that they are, and finding that everyone has a value and has a worth. And I think that's probably the most important thing law enforcement can take in, is that if you're looking to get into law enforcement, we're people dealing with people. And so that's really what our goal is.
So we get beat in the quarterfinals, second round, and here's the group of guys that made the 6-team happen.
It's all good. Take your time. Take your time.
Brent Mowry, JT Zimmerman, Louis Gross, Jared Coleman, Alex Diller, Jimmy Hildensberger, Ventura Rios, and Ben Hur. Man, I had 10 captains. And they were awesome. They were juniors that year we got beat. And I knew something was special about them. So we go into the summer of 2006. We have a special group of young men. And I had a Hall of Famer, Kirk Brandenburg, on my staff as well. He was an offensive defensive coordinator. He did a great job for us getting our kids in the weight room. And these guys never missed. They never missed. And they just got it done. So we go in the off season. This summer program. My wife's pregnant. And about mid-March, we go to the doctor, and they say, hey, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I'm like, all right. So we need a specialist about, it was Labor Day week, Memorial Day weekend. It was Friday Memorial Day weekend, and we found out that the baby had trimethylene 13 and the holioprosis ephedrine. So basically, Rebecca had a hole in her heart. And her brain. So I'm sitting there in this meeting with this doctor, the specialist in Peoria. And I look over at that doctor, and I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar, man. And all I'm thinking is, man, he looks like the head coach for Muhammad. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like him very much. So that was kind of the kickoff to the summer. So we go to team camp. We're on a Christian campus. And these kids really knew that my wife was pregnant, but they really didn't know. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting in the middle of campus, and I told them what happened. It was cool. It was cool. It was great. Because they were like sons to me. And
this is at 2016.
This is 2006. This is summer 2006. So, and then after the camp, we had a great summer. Everybody was healthy going in. We played Muhammad week 1. And I told him before the game, I said, you know, remember I told you about it at Olivet? I said, what happened with Rebecca Ray? And I said, I didn't tell you that the doctor reminded me of the head coach from Muhammad, and I don't like him very much. And they were like, we got you, coach. We got you. So, playing Muhammad, it's 100 degrees out, and we're kicking their tail, man. We're kicking their ass. And it's a good feeling. We were on a little run there kicking their ass, so we ended up we whooped them. We whooped them pretty good. But that was a special year, man. We had an outstanding football team.
And that's a wrap. It's been a ton of fun doing these first 25 episodes, and I can't wait to film many, many more. I truly believe that everyone, including you, has an awesome life story and has gained a lot of wisdom in their day. I hope that by having conversations with remarkable people from the area, that this show can impart some nuggets of wisdom and knowledge into your brain to help you live a better life. If you'd like to support the show, a great way to do so is simply by giving the show's sponsors some business. They're the backbone of the Paul Garcia Show, so they would appreciate it a lot, and so would I. If you'd like to support the show in other ways, you can donate using your Venmo app or PayPal at username The Paul Garcia Show. If you'd like to gain access to exclusive bonus footage and eventually some live episodes, become a patron on patreon.com/Paul Garcia. Thank you all so much for listening to this show. I plan on really kicking it up in these next 25. Until next Sunday, God bless and have a great week.